Hello, everybody. It's Friday. That means it's time for another topic of the week. First off, last week's topic, the I am a wargamer. So many great responses to that. I'm trying to collect them all and put them in the description of that original video. We even got Mr. Malorian to come out and give a great response, which I thought was fantastic. There's just a whole bunch. I'll actually even link to. I'll try to grab the Facebook link and put it there on the original video. So you can just go back and see because they're collected there as well, and maybe that'll introduce you to a bunch of new channels to go check out. So much good information. Lord Tremendous got into it. Like I said, Mr. Malorian got into it. It's awesome to watch, especially those people who've been doing YouTube for a really long time share their insights and hopefully their inspiration to get the next generation of YouTubers started. So thank you to everybody who responded, who commented, who watched. And thank you to, of course, Wargaming Viking for starting that off. What an awesome topic that was. So, this week's topic, we're going to go back to another Showdown. So, but before we talk about what exactly the Showdown is, I'd like to take you back in time. Imagine the little, we're fading back in time. And we're going to go back in time to 2001 and a little MMO called Dark Age of Camelot. And one of the great things about Dark Age of Camelot was it had three factions in the battle. It wasn't just good against evil, law against chaos, or something like that. Just kind of two forces butting heads. But instead there was three. And the three made it a completely different thing. And every MMO after this, for the most part, managed to screw this up and just have good guys and bad guys. And the problem with that when they show down, when you just have two forces, is that means there's always one winner and there's always one loser. It can go back and forth, but it's just tug of war. But when it's three people, then you get alliances, you get treachery, you get intrigue, you get interesting things happening. Why am I talking about Dark Age? Well, because this week's Showdown is about whether you favor the good, the bad, or the spoilers. So, classically, Warhammer, especially now as it's been reimagined through the Grand Alliance system, has always had a sort of main battle, right, of order versus the forces of chaos, but that's not ever been the only two things fighting. There's always been other forces with their own agendas, whether we're talking about the old world or the new. And so, what I want to know is, who are you backing? Now, chances are, if you're like me, you might have armies spread across multiple forces, right? So, but what ultimately do you come down on? In your heart of hearts, do you come down with the good guys, the order, the people who want to preserve? Do you come down with the chaos, the people who want to destroy and bring madness and darkness? Or do you come down with the spoilers? The people who aren't maybe in for all of these high-minded concepts and all this nonsense, and they just want to achieve their own personal goals. Okay? So now in the forces, or in the, in Age of Sigmar, obviously that comes down to sort of destruction and death, both playing this role simultaneously for different reasons and to different ends. But they're certainly spoilers on the greater conflict, and they get in there and can tilt the sides both directions, which I love. It recreates to a point that sort of tripartite relationship that I love so much. So, where do you fall? For me personally, it's the spoilers. I'm sorry. I love sometimes, it's just fun to be the person who's screwing with everybody else's toys. And I think probably that comes out of like Skaven, which weren't classically part of Chaos. I know they've kind of shifted in now, but they're after their own ends. Let's not make any bones about this. Let's not be silly. The Skaven have always been their own little thing that everybody else hates. They're always out for their own ends. They've never had any higher agenda, really, of like toward the greater moral conflict. And so even their greatest hero, when you look at like who the great hero of their narrative was, it was Thanquol, who was the most self-involved, self-preserving narcissist sort of that ever got written into the books. So to me, I love the spoilers because that's what makes, in my mind, That's what makes the story interesting. Heroes rise and fall, villains destroy only to have things rebuild, like life grows most verdant right after a forest fire, blah, 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 whatever. Boring, seen it all before, but the spoilers, who have got their own weird agendas, that's where I come down. So, good, bad, spoiler. Who do you back in your heart of hearts, and why? I look forward to your responses. Throw them in the comments, or as always, make a response video. If you do, I'll link that down below. And of course, you can find last week's video down there in the description. Check that out, which will contain all of last week's responses. Thank you very much, everybody. As always, love looking forward to those responses, and we'll see you next time.